Hi, so I'm Dan Stangel, and welcome to my vBrownbag Tech Talk here at the OpenStack Summit. As I said, I'm Dan Stangel. I work for Hewlett-Packard. I work in HP's open source program office, and we're responsible for making sure that HP is doing right by the open source community, and that we're making meaningful contributions and that we're doing things right. And so I came today to talk briefly about OpenStack community metrics. This is how we measure and analyze the contributions that everybody is making to the ever-growing OpenStack project. And so I just kind of wanted to hopefully demystify it a bit. If anyone watching is interested in learning more, you can always contact me for further details. So just briefly, at the moment there's an interesting landscape of projects, of open source projects that are designed and geared towards measuring OpenStack community contributions, that is to say code, code reviews, defects, and other information. So today there's, as I said, there's actually 3 projects. One of these is called StackAlytics. It was developed primarily by Mirantis. And it's an excellent web-based resource for viewing OpenStack contribution metrics across all of the releases to date. Another one is called the OpenStack Activity Dashboard. This is one that was actually developed by the OpenStack Foundation in partnership with a company called Bitergia. And that uses an open source tool set called Metrics Grimoire to actually produce the metrics. And finally, the project near and dear to my heart is one called gitdm, which is a relatively simple tool set that we ported from the Linux kernel community to do this work. And I believe it was the first tool set that was applied to OpenStack because there just simply wasn't any other option available at the time. And let's see, there it goes. So a lot of people ask me, what is it that we measure? Well, you know, it starts very basically with who's doing what with all of the projects. So the lines of code that have been contributed, the number of change sets, the number of defects that have been resolved and closed, as well as code reviews. These metrics are all quite simply gathered from the source code management system, from all of the Git repositories, and from the Launchpad system, and from the Garrett code review tool. Beyond that, though, and where it starts to get more interesting is when we start to look at what I call second-order metrics, which are things that are not immediately obvious just by looking at the raw numbers. For example, the length of time to respond to an email on the mailing list, or the number of open versus closed defects in a particular release. Other metrics like that that require a bit more analysis. And the community is always trying to find more new, interesting ways to slice and dice the data and get more information about it, about these metrics. This is just a quick slide that describes how we collect the data. So there's really no magic to it. It's just based on Git logs, at least for the commits, and likewise information pulled from the Launchpad and Garrett APIs. And then the other question that I often answer is, why do we collect these metrics? You know, why is everybody watching us? Why does anybody care? Why is this important? Well, the simple fact is that a lot of people are investing quite a lot of money in OpenStack development, and they'd like to understand the impact that their contributions are making. And so this is a simple way to approach that. And some would say too simple or simplistic. Lines of code by themselves don't always tell the whole picture. The complexity of the code varies dramatically, of course. One's coding style, the amount of comments, these things can all influence the relative impact of any single code contribution. And there's no perfect answer for filtering those out or weighting them. But it is something that in the metrics community we're aware of and thinking about. And it's important for all of us to understand who has influence over the code base and where entities are, where entities are putting all of their resources, where organizations are putting developers, and to a broader extent, why. It's interesting to look at where projects have increased in their participation levels, flattened out, or even in some cases decreased. This helps us understand projects that may be thriving and other projects within OpenStack that may need some attention, some tender loving care. So I guess I've included that slide twice, but just to give you a brief sense, the Bitergia toolset, or the metrics grimoire derived toolset that's available from the OpenStack Foundation itself is available. It has each of the tool sets have their own unique set of features. This is just a screenshot from yesterday's, I think, snapshot of development. Likewise, StackAlytics shows a little bit different. Each tool set, again, has strengths, weaknesses, things that they are particularly focused on or not. I would point out, though, that gitdm, the tool set that I've been contributing to, has lagged behind considerably. And so although our tool set is probably the simplest to understand, the easiest to understand, it also produces the least glamorous output. And I'd just like to sort of wrap up by saying that one of the issues that we face in our community is that we currently have, as I mentioned, these 3 tool sets. And all 3 of our projects are essentially trying to accomplish the same goal, doing largely the same thing. And I think that in the next several months to years, over the next release or 2, it behooves us to try and consolidate our efforts as much as we can so that we can share all of our development resources towards doing these metrics tools together. So thanks.